Welcome on in Dragonfolk. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I know I am. It is time for more awesome Clash gameplay. Now I know last week we did have some in-person or webcam games for the Clash Bash, but I actually went ahead and bring it over to Talishar because I did want to try out a new deck. I wanted to try out some new things with the hero, and I didn't have the cards on me at the time, so I did want to still be able to try out this new deck. It's a very casual league, so I'm not too worried about the general concept, but our top 8 is going to be pretty much webcam only, if I can recall. But what I'm going to go over here is a Talishar game. So we're going to throw the game on 1.5 times speed. We're going to go talk over my own plays into this game, as well as what I could have changed, how I could have possibly looked into the gameplay a little bit more, and then we can go in and move on from there. So as per usual, I start off with Dromai because I feel like it's a nice little way to, you know, if I get a win first turn, that's awesome. If I don't get a win, then I can at least utilize her later on in the game. So we're on Dromai. Our opponent is going to be on Iyslander. So let's go ahead and check out what Clash has for these two heroes and see whether or not the matchup is still pretty much in Dromai's favor in Clash. All right, we're going to go ahead and get on into the game. Our opponent is going first, and then we are going to go ahead and go second. This allows me to do stuff like Glory Seeker on my turn, especially since we see that Frost Hex come out. Obviously with Frost Hexes and Ice Eternals being a combo you can utilize in Iyslander, you definitely want to do the best you can to make sure that you are not stuck around with any Frostbites at the end of your turn. And the important way to do that is to make sure that we just go ahead and have, Ash Wings to block out the AB and everything there. Now, moving into this next turn, you'll see that I pitched all of my reds that were really, really good into reds that were just kind of okay. I'm going to go ahead and get even more Ash here with the Sweeping Blow. If I can stack my Ash up pretty high, it actually is going to work very well in my favor. I'll be able to play multiple dragons in a turn, really kind of overpower the field. But I'm going to go ahead and come in with the 3. They're going to go ahead and miss here. I then come in with a Dunebreaker Centipede. Now in this situation, I feel like I could have threatened a little bit more, but with Iyslander and with Wizards in general, you do kind of want to make sure that you're not giving your entire hand, because your opponent might think that's a blue and they're not going to respond as well as they would, but I just leave something in arsenal for later, work on it from there. My opponent then here is going to go ahead and pop Goliath Gauntlet and then come in with a Wounding Bull for 10. That's a lot of damage, but if I go ahead and go down to parity, they're no longer at less life than I am, which is very good. Now, obviously, I want them to be at less life than me because that means I'm winning, but in Iyslander's case, with Fyendal's Fighting Spirit and with Wounded Bull and maybe even Scar for Scars, it's very, very tough to show where that actual win rate is. So I rake the Embers here. I go ahead and turn a bunch of that Ash into Ash Wings. Those give me Arcane Barrier into Iyslander, so I'm not so worried now. This Ash Wing then is going to get popped by Fyendal's Fighting Spirit. They do not get any kind of health back from that, which is really, really good. But then they come in with an Aether Icevein Blue, which is going to hit me. I don't have to discard a card, but it is going to hit me for 3 damage, and then my opponent's probably going to go ahead and play that Waning Moon, because that's just what you do. But it looks like they're not. It looks like they don't have anything for that. So I draw up. My opponent's turn is just probably going to be Arsenal and pass. They're going to play Icebind. Icebind is going to go ahead and freeze a target, I believe, or yeah, freeze a card in Arsenal until the start of your next turn. So if it's fused, whenever it does this, which it was, I'd freeze something in my arsenal. So I went ahead and I paid 3 here just to prevent any more arcane damage since I have 3 AB up. I'm then going to rake the Embers again. Now, this is an insane beginning for me, because now I'll have 5 Aether Ashwings and just like the field, right? I have 86 after this entire thing. But again, the problem comes down to the fact that they have Arcane Barrier, and most of my deck is actually in red. That's a problem, because if it's in red, I can't pitch 3 to block out a whole bunch of that. So right here, I wait for the prime opportunity. What I should have done is I should have kept the card in my hand, the Kyloria I have there. And I should have had that Kyloria come in and pitch for that Frostbite at the end of the turn. What I don't do here is that. What I do instead is I'm pretty sure I Sash Sandakai. Oh, I'm sorry. I do pitch to Frostbite here. I can't remember what game that was on. But we go ahead and we come in with the Ashwings here. We're going to get a little bit of damage off. Again, they have more life than I do, which turns off a lot of their stuff in their deck as far as their physical attacks. But I want to go ahead and come in for as much damage as I possibly can, kind of bring them as low as me, and then move on from there. It's hard to do the Iyslander game, or to go against the Iyslander game in here, because you don't run as many incredibly powerful things. I don't actually deem to run things like Oasis Respite, or even now I do run Oasis Respite. What am I talking about? I run Oasis Respite, but I also don't run things like Sigil of Solace, and I feel like there are just some cards in here that I could probably take out. I do have a lot of those, like Flame Call Awakenings and a Phoenix Flame, and I feel like those cards just don't do me any good into a Wizard matchup. Now here I have a little bit of trouble because I want to pitch the entire thing, right? To pitch it all out. The problem with that being is that if I do that, I pitch both of my blues, and then I don't have a way for me to actually play this Miragai on my turn. In hindsight, a defensive option is very good here, but I also wanted to keep a blue, so that way when they go off on my turn, I had the opportunity to block out some of that damage. But I go ahead and I take 2 here, or 1, I can't remember which one it is, because there's 4 AB coming in. I'm going to go ahead and block 1 of it, and then pay 2 with 1 blue, so I'll take 3 damage there. A lot to go down to towards the end of my turn. Then at the beginning of my turn, I end up just pitching that blue anyway. Have 2 float. I have nothing left in hand, but I can pop a Sash of Sandakai if I wanted to, and go ahead and start coming in with that. So I go ahead and attack with the Miragai in case they have any other poppers in hand, and I'm just going to go ahead and swing them through, see what damage I can get off. We didn't really draw into nearly any dragons in this whole conundrum. I feel like the more dragons I would have had on board, the more comfortable I would have felt in this match. But luckily, it looks like our opponent is not popping the dragons. Looks like they are just killing them with their ice cards. So in this situation here, it's very interesting because they're going to go ahead and play their Aether Hail to kill the Aether Ashwing, which is kind of like popping it. And then they're going to Waning Moon, where I will then Sash of Sandakai. I'm going to block 3 of that with my 3 floating. And then my Aether Ashwing is going to die. I am going to get a Frostbite token, but my Frostbite token is going to cause me to take 1 damage arcane because of the Frost Hex. So now I'm down to 6, my opponent's at 8, and I have a full red hand. No surprise there for playing Dromai. The downside here, of course, is that the second my opponent has an opportunity to do something, they will. Brain Freeze is going to do some pretty good stuff. They get to look at my hand and then take whatever they want from it, put it at the top of my deck if it's a 0 cost card, if it was fused. And so it was fused. I imagine my opponent is going to take the Dromai here because that is going to be an insane amount of value for me, in which they do. Then I am left with, they also know I have 3 reds, so it's not helpful for me to do that. Now here's a very weird one. Waning Moon is coming in for 2 because it is on their turn. And I am just going, you know what? I don't think I'm going to take any of that damage. And I took 2 there. That's because I didn't want any extra on the extra, on my turn. They knew I had a full red hand, so they knew they could have just thrown whatever they wanted in their arsenal, came in with 3 more, made that happen. But with my Dunebreaker Centipede, I try to kind of push a little bit more damage going through there. Again, they know my hand already, so it's kind of huge amount of value for them to have that kind of information. I'm going to try to do my best here, keep cards in hand to block out AB if I need it. But as of right now, it's pretty much just try to put on the pressure and do what you can. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen in my case because they're going to go ahead and they're going to Aether Hail. This Aether Hail is more than likely going to be the Ashwing. So with Aether Hail coming into my Ashwing, it's going to try and kill it. I'm going to get a Frostbite, and then I'm going to have to pitch to that Frostbite at the end of my turn because I don't want to take 1 more damage. So I pitch a Flamecall Awakening and then put that in Arsenal. My Arsenal is then frozen because of the Glacial Horns that they play. So I now no longer have an Arsenal. And an ally gets frozen as well. So my Miragai and my Yenderai both get frozen. My opponent then comes in with an Aether Ice Fiend Red, which is, of course, AB5. I would need for this, which I have. Well, I don't have. I actually can pop this here and get it with my Silken form, but I choose not to because I can't block AB5 anyway due to the 4 reds that are in my hand. And it's a really, really, really solid turn. So for the red Aether Ice Fiend to come through right here at the end was really well done for my opponent. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do here, because if I take all this damage, then I get hurt. But also if I block 4 with the 4 cards in my hand, my opponent then gets to come in with a Waning Moon on their turn and I die, right? So we put that back there. I can only do a couple things, and at this point I'm just swinging with an Ashwing and hoping my opponent didn't get a blue in their arsenal, but they're playing Iyslander, so you know dang well they got a blue in there. That Polar Blast that was revealed last turn is coming out. They get to draw a card. They then get to attack me with Waning Moon for 3 arcane damage, in which I can't block any of it, and the game is over. So that is the end of the very first game into our opponent Teppa here at the Clash League. And I really do like the Dromai Iyslander matchup because pitching to Frostbites is good for me in a way, especially in Clash games, because you don't normally have a lot of Ash to work with in most cases, because you don't have things like Flamescale Furnace for you to pitch to if you ever play a red. But I play a very defensive style version of the deck, and this just isn't it. It's just not it. This is a lot more aggressive and really kind of trying to pump out those Cheerio 0 for 4s. And it didn't work out in my favor in this case because I didn't draw any blues. I got, 5 Aether Ashwing out on the field within the first 2 turns, which is incredible. But none of my other dragons came through. If I had pulled a Themai earlier in the game, I feel like it would have been a completely different game, because Themai shuts down Iyslander pretty bad, just making it so your opponent can't actually do anything on your own turn. But it happens, right? It's just variance. We move on to game 2 and we just move on from there. So that is the end of today's Clash Bash video. I hope you guys enjoyed everything about it. I know the gameplay, of course, is a little quick, which makes these videos nice and short. So if you guys do prefer the Talishar method of showing off this gameplay as opposed to the the webcam style, let me know. I'd be more than happy to just make sure that I get all the cards I need in order for me to kind of make sure that webcam happens. A lot of people in our league are very webcam centric. They're okay using webcam. They know how to use it, and they're willing to do games on there. But I made a decision last minute where I was on the fence. I didn't want to play KO. I kind of wanted to play Ninja, and it ended up working out that way. And also, don't forget to leave a comment in the video. Let me know where you think I could have done better in my own gameplay, as well as how you believe that the overall matchup for Dromai into Iyslander is like. Like I had said at the beginning of the video, I do really enjoy the matchup, and I believe that Dromai initially is favored into Iyslander, but I think I just took a lot of unnecessary damage. I feel like if in most cases after getting 5 Aether Ashwings out, I probably should have just chilled, blocked out as much arcane damage as I possibly could until they ran out of reds, and then started coming in with all these dragons and really just kind of plowing through them. So a Wounded Bull to an Ashwing feels bad for an Iyslander, but it feels great for me. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. And also, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. You can also become a channel member if you wish to support the channel in a bit more of a community-centric way. It is a nice little community we have here, and a lot of people want to kind of show their support in more ways than one, and that is kind of the best way to do it. So thank you all again so very much for watching today, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Nerd out.